Spoiler warning. The following is an in-depth story analysis. If you haven't seen this arc, you may want to before watching this review. Welcome back once again to my series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Reviews. Last time we covered the tournament portion of Battle City, and this time we'll be discussing the quarterfinals. So here we go. There's a lot of ground to cover, and not a lot of time to do it in. So, let's just drive right into this Battle City. Cheesy pun intended. The quarterfinals ran from November 13th, 2001 to March 5th, 2001. These are simply just a series of duels, but there are some story bits here, and I'll try to differentiate them for you guys. The finalists all enter Kaiba's Blimp, where they are taken to a selector that will randomly choose the duelist in each round, with each duelist being assigned a number. The first duel is Yugioh vs. Bakura. Since this arc is so long, I'm going to give my thoughts on the characters until... I'm going to wait to give my thoughts on the characters until the very end. Also, something that I kinda forgot to mention last time is that Bakura, or rather the Spirit of the Millennium Ring, made a deal with Marik that if the Spirit defeats Yugi and delivers his Egyptian God card to Marik, Marik will allow the Spirit to have the Millennium Rod, as well as make it easier for him to take the Millennium Puzzle. By the way, before Yugi and Bakura's duel begins, Kaiba exposits this. The Blimp, or the Kaiba craft as he calls it, is 4,000 feet in the air, and the strong winds, according to Kaiba, are supposed to test the duelist's stamina. But, at the same time, one has to wonder, what happens if someone falls off the craft? And why hold it on top of the Blimp? Why not do it inside, where it's safer, and you have a far less likelihood of falling off and or dying? This safety hazard is actually explored in a filler episode, but it's still astounding to me that Kaiba would hold the finals on top of the craft like this, even when he knows the risks and implications of being at such a high altitude. Hopefully nobody looks down. Anyway, the duel begins with the Spirit of the Millennium Ring taking over Bakura's body. All of Yugi's friends are astonished by this, especially Tristan, as in the last arc he threw the Millennium Ring into a forest on Duelist Kingdom Island. But regardless, the ring is back in Bakura's possession, whether he likes it or not. The duel begins with a Shizue dubbing it the duel that will determine the fate of the world. The duel eventually comes to a stalemate when Bakura plays Destiny Board, which is similar to a final countdown. The trap spells out the word final after 5 turns, which would give Bakura an automatic win. This leads Yugi into a dilemma, and he is forced to summon Slifer the Sky Dragon. Bakura and Marik then have a little telekinetic chat, in which Marik attempts to gain control of the spirit. Odion, whom everyone thinks is the real Marik, then steps into the fray, and claims to be in control of both Bakura and the Spirit of the Millennium Ring. The spirit then releases Bakura, as according to Marik, Yugi would never attack his friend. However, the Spirit of the Millennium Ring takes over Bakura again, stating that he still needs Bakura, and that he can't risk his health. The spirit is then defeated by Slifer, but Bakura is injured as a result of the attack. Before I move on to the next duel, there's a filler episode called Rage of the Egyptian Gods, featuring a rather interesting, but also completely idiotic line from Kaiba. See, since Bakura is in need of medical attention, Yugi and the others try to get Kaiba to land the craft, with the hopes of getting Bakura to a nearby hospital. Kaiba, however, says this, quote, "You're asking me to do the impossible, we can't make an unscheduled stop," end quote. To which I say, so what? You're the headliner of this tournament, not to mention the head of a major company, which would probably mean that you're loaded. There is no logic to that line at all. Kaiba is loaded, and yet he refuses to help someone in need that's on his own aircraft. Then again, maybe the drinks on board the craft have scrambled Kaiba's eggs. Oh, and there's also kind of a love triangle going on between Tristan and Duke. The two actually bicker over Serenity, Joey's sister, which the two actually argue about while searching for the Millennium Ring on top of the Kaiba craft. This argument actually has a few life references as well. Real people argue like this all the time, and blackmail is brought up sometimes, but it's only human nature. You can move past your mistakes and move past your faults. The two get into a fight, which actually sends them over the edge, with Tristan barely holding on. This, however, reinforces my earlier comment about the altitude and all. Either Kaiba is an extreme guy, or he just likes playing God and looking down at all of the people below like a king does to his peasant subjects. Anyway, Tristan and Duke are rescued by Shadi, played by Wayne Grayson, who then goes to Yugi. Shadi explains the stakes that are at risk in the tournament, as well as the origins of the Egyptian god cards. He says that after Pegasus created dual monsters, he became obsessed with the god cards. Evidently, after Pegasus turned the Egyptian god tablets into cards, he was haunted by the gods themselves in his dreams, as they threatened to destroy him for what he had done. Pegasus, in desperation, with the help of his Shizue, hid the cards in Egypt in the tomb of the pharaoh. However, the winged dragon of Ra was taken by Marik. So, yeah, real nice job you're doing there, Shadi. Shadi also states that Marik can't get his hands on all 3 Egyptian god cards, as the world would be in serious jeopardy, to which Yugi vows to not let it happen. The next duel is Joey vs. Odion / Marik. Joey comically shuffles cards for about 3 minutes, with Roland commenting that he shuffled enough cards for 10 duels, which is actually pretty funny. Marik comments that Kaiba is in the way of his plans, stating that the sorcerer on the ancient Egyptian tablet resembles Kaiba, and that even more shockingly, the sorcerer seemed to have Marik's Millennium Rod in his hand. Joey's cards fly out of his hand, which, after Joey catches them, he once again brings up the argument about Kaiba's choice of idiotic dueling locations. Interestingly though, while Odion claims to be Marik, the big baddie of the season, he compliments Joey often, calling him Mr. Wheeler, and so on. Which admittedly is an interesting approach to a villain, and one that I really haven't seen before this. Speaking from memory here. Joey then uses the cards he's won during his Battle City duels, such as Jinzo, Insect Queen, and the Legendary Fisherman to name a few, in order to turn the tables. Odion then draws the Winged Dragon of Ra, which is actually revealed to be just a counterfeit copy, and he is stunned. Marik forces Odion to use it. After the tables are turned against him, Joey states that he gets his motivation and his courage from his family, which in turn causes Odion to remember a time when he knew love like Joey does. Odion and Marik were surrogate brothers, and Marik was chosen to become a Tomb Keeper, while Odion becomes Marik's protector. Marik then resents having the Tomb Keeper's initiation, and he actually claims that there is no escaping his destiny. Upon having the initiation, Marik says that he feels alone, but Odion also says that since he had the initiation, Marik has been different, as if the initiation itself ushered in some sort of dark force. Joey then states that he's had a strange feeling about Odion, as he plays fairly, unlike the real Marik would. Before Odion can finish Joey off though, Marik stops him, forcing him to play the Winged Dragon of Ra despite the risk it presents, in order to finally convince the others that Odion is the true Marik. Odion chooses to play the Winged Dragon, stating that he will finally be a real Tomb Keeper for this action. Odion summons the dragon, with Joey's friend stating that it looks unstoppable, which a little deeper into the arc it is. It is very unstoppable. But the real Winged Dragon in Marik's deck stops Odion's counterfeit card from attacking. This anger creates a lightning storm, striking Odion and Joey and knocking them both out. Kaiba once again expresses how much of a dumbo he is by not assisting the people who just got struck by lightning. Joey eventually gets up, but Marik starts grabbing his head and moaning in pain, the cause of which, according to Shizue, is an evil buried deep inside of Marik, building due to Odion being out of the picture. Marik then reveals himself to the others, stating that Yugi's puzzle will be his along with the Pharaoh's limitless power. Marik's dark side, dubbed Yami Marik, or the true Marik as he calls himself, reveals himself, stating that he deserves to be Pharaoh rather than Yami Yugi. This version of Marik, as we'll soon learn, is far crazier than the normal variety, to the point where he appears as though he barely gets any sleep and sticks his tongue out whenever he laughs like a madman. Anyway, Odion is placed in a hospital room. Curiously, Mai says this: "It's times when you're down that you need friends the most." Before the next 2 duelists are chosen, Joey makes the comment that since Marik entered the tournament using a fake name, the fake name being the previously mentioned Namu, that he should instantly be disqualified. Kaiba, in yet another show of idiocy, states this, quote, "Wishful thinking, but this contest is about skills and not names," end quote. Kaiba Kaiba, I think this contest of yours went completely downhill as soon as the lightning started in the previous round. Were you even paying attention at that point? You can't deny it didn't happen. Look at it! Anyway, the selection comes up as Mai versus Marik. I feel sorry for Mai. She just got tossed around by Joey and the others, and now she has to be the first one to go up against the crazed baddie of the season. Anyway, the duel begins, and after a few turns, Marik uses his Millennium Rod to send them into the Shadow Realm, the Yu-Gi-Oh equivalent of Hell or Hades. Through a combination of using fear and manipulation, Marik breaks Mai's spirit and eventually defeats her, sending her very soul into the Shadow Realm itself. It's very reminiscent of what happened to Yugi's grandfather back in Duelist Kingdom. The next match is actually Kaiba versus Shizue, with Kaiba refusing to accept his ancient past. Eventually, Kaiba defeats Shizue, my bad, using his Egyptian God card, despite her prediction that he would defeat her using his Blue Eyes White Dragon. This could actually be seen as a theme of self-choice, that you can make your own destiny despite what other people say and what ties you might have to your past. Interesting thought. Then there was one of my favorite episodes in the entire arc, the two-parter Marik vs. Bakura Showdown in the Shadows. This has to be Yami Marik at his coolest in my opinion. I love his new design, and it looks very cool and reflects his dark nature. Yami Marik is assisted by... Dang it! Yami Bakura is assisted by the spirit of Marik, the good Marik, mind you, who makes a deal with Yami Bakura to destroy Yami Marik in order to allow the real Marik to regain control of his body. Yami Bakura actually puts up a really good fight, actually sacrificing tons of life points just to take down Yami Marik. Unfortunately, Yami Marik succeeds in defeating Yami Bakura with his Egyptian God card, but Yami Bakura states that he'll be back, stating that he is the darkness, which foreshadows a later season. Spoilers! Sorry if you could hear that, that was my phone going off. Unfortunately, this ends this section of the Battle City arc. There's actually a split between the quarterfinals and, well, the actual finals. This split is known as the Virtual World arc, but I'll get into that next time. As for the here and now, I'm going to give the quarterfinals a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It introduces the true enemy in the form of Yami Marik, which comes off as a cooler version, but far more sadistic version of the regular Marik, though I think the dub takes the crazy factor a little too far. But it's good, it's good. Anyway, thanks guys so much for watching these videos, and I'll be back soon for a review of the Virtual World arc. Take care everyone, and God bless. Bye-bye.